Alright guys, here we go, and first off going to be spawning as our pink Zerg. We're going to have Towley, then his teammate, part of First Class Snipers. Together they form Captain First Class Snipers. It is Get Slammed. That was a really bad joke. But anyways, moving on.
Almost worked.
Spawning over here is our purple Zerg. We're going to have Munchla, and then his teammate for Team cZa, we have a Seohan. So here we go, guys. Our blue Terran of Seohan and our purple Zerg on Munchla have been looking pretty fearsome. But they definitely have not played anybody the caliber of the team of First Class Snipers. So they're definitely going to get tested in this game.
Yeah, Get Slammed actually spawning as Terran in this match. So, as we know, he plays random. So, on Scorched Haven, we see yet another TZ mirror. You know, interested to see what they do. And Get Slammed, like his usual self, does not like to wall off at the front. So putting the depot at the middle of his base while taking the quick gas. So we can see probably a quick factory in the future here.
I think considering he has a Zerg teammate, and I mean, for the most part, Tolly's micro has been pretty good. Definitely say he's no slouch in the micro game. I think I like this move by Get Slammed to not actually wall off his front, because it leaves you less vulnerable to siege tank type of pushes later in the game, especially when you know one of your opponents are Terran. And so long as Tolly's micro is good, I mean, he's at less of a threat of having to deal with the Zerg player of Munchla than he would be otherwise, I think.
Yeah, that's very fair. Very good point. We see about the same pull timing out of both players, about the same gas timing. Maybe slightly faster by Tally, but nothing to make that big of a difference. And we see Seohan getting his racks earlier, you know, racks before gas, as opposed to the gas then racks out of Get Slammed.
They Get Slammed, always preferring those tech plays, just in general, I'd say. I mean, typically we'll get out that initial Marine or whatnot for safety's sake before he does tech, but actually this time, a little uncharacteristic of Get Slammed. I'm going to just immediately drop that reactor down and actually showed it to a Seohan, so a Seohan can be completely aware of what Get Slammed's doing at this point in time. And a Seohan actually, with this scout, should be able to see everything Tolly is up to as well. We'll see all the look on the base. We'll see that he has pulled off a gas, so he will know that there is metabolic boost on the way, but nothing but Zerglings behind that. And we're going to be seeing a potentially similar opening, at least, although I don't think he'll go double factory Hellions to what we actually saw earlier. The team of, oh dear God, trying to remember both of their names. Catastrophe, and I was trying to remember the name of his teammate, was the one I was struggling on. But his Terran teammate, who was spawning as orange all the time, that Hellion Ling push, only it's going to be a little bit more like the Hellion Ling light push here.
Tosog.
Yes, Tosog. So we see a Seohan right now has taken his second gas now. Looks like he's going to actually be opening up Hellions as well, but did get out a handful of Marines just for safety's sake. A couple of Roaches now out for Munchla, so it looks like Munchla is going to be defending once again early with the Roaches. Seohan probably going to be teching up a little bit with the defense of those Roaches to help him out with those Hellions.
Yeah, so we see actually Get Slammed also getting two gases slightly earlier than a Seohan, but his starport is a little bit behind, about the same. And interested in seeing what tech he actually does. Okay. He's transitioning into a pretty standard 1v1 or 1-1-1 build with the factory getting off the reactor and the barracks getting on the reactor. And we see speed done for Tally.
We're going to have to hold the phone for just a second because we have a push out in the middle of the map by Munchla and a Seohan. So it looks like they're going to try and beat their opponents to the tech punch once again, like we did see in that last series, where they actually beat out those mutas, and it was so huge. So they have a couple of Roaches and a few Hellions and Marines advancing over here, and it looks like they're going to actually try and advance right to their opponents' bases. And this could actually be really bad for Get Slammed and for Tolly, because they really don't have anything to deal with these Roach Hellion composition right here that's moving towards their bases.
Yeah, basically the only thing they could hope for is that Banshee popping out in time to kill the Roaches before too much damage has been done. While we do see a Ling run by into Munchla's base, taking down the Queen and some drones, while the natural of Tally is basically getting taken over and commandeered at this point.
So we have that Ling run by, trying to clean up some stuff. We do have the Ling speed finished over here by Munchla, and he is going to be able to clean this up. Meanwhile, we do see the forces over here cleaning up a lot of this natural expansion. We see him now moving into the main. The first Banshee is out. Will be able to clean up these forces eventually, but the question is, will they be able to clean them up before they do significant damage to the economy of Tali? We see them moving over here into the main part of the base now, trying to get those drones if they can. The more damage they can do, the better scenario it is for them. You see right now, Tali is losing a handful of his drones. You also have Gitslam losing a lot of his forces over here at the front. Banshee will be able to clean this all up, but still preventing a lot of mining time here out of their opponents while they get more of their forces and build underway so that they can actually deal with what their opponents have done. Now actually pulling back a little bit, and it looks like the aggressors are going to actually be Tali and Gitslam potentially for the time being, as we see the remaining Zerglings here at Munchla forced to retreat.
Yeah, a lot of workers taken out, down to 11 now for Tally with 2 in production. But the big thing is they did trade out basically their entire army for this, while Get Slammed actually has a sizable force and way out in the lead at almost 50 food compared to the 40 and 34 of his opponents.
We have this first Banshee now heading into the mineral line here at Munchla, and this could be huge to actually really even things up if we can whittle down a few of these drones so that the drone counts will be more even with his teammate. You have an evolution chamber just not going now, kind of a little bit of a late evolution chamber. I'm surprised he actually didn't get it up a little bit sooner. I think got a little too preoccupied with that roach micro and ended up getting that a little bit sooner, later than he would have wanted to. One Baneling shot goes down, does get a handful of Munchla's Lings. Now moving over here into the main, that Baneling not going to be much use over here in the main. The Munchla might be in danger of losing his main, and it looks like the veteran tactics here of Get Slammed and his teammate of Tali might be paying off here, as it looks like Munchla and Assailohan could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, a Banshee also going off in Get Slammed space with 13 kills, so, you know, Banshee trades on both sides, doing massive damage, but the difference maker here is the group of Lings that happen to snipe the main, I think it was layer by Munchla.
Assailohan now actually moving into the Zerg player's base as well, so right now these guys trading back and forth like crazy here with these Banshees. We do see that Munchla is definitely going to lose the rest of his main. You see that these Banshees here of Assailohan doing a lot of damage economically to their opponents. Look at the income tab here, guys. You see right now Munchla is basically dead, and then Get Slammed and Tali just both barely hanging on, equaling Assailohan right now. So right now it's basically up to Assailohan to do enough damage to shut Get Slammed and Tali down. That one last Banshee here inside of their main, trying to do its best to do as much damage to as possible. One Banshee does get cleaned up though, and there's the scan. We should be able to clean up this Banshee as well. Might get this tank. No, does not get the tank. And right now, Get Slammed still at 13 Harvesters, and Tali's starting to rebuild his economy as well. And right now, Munchla kind of just dead in the water. Not any minerals or gas available to even build a single drone, despite the fact that he does have quite a bit of larva. But we do have Assailohan pushing out with a pretty sizable size force, so it looks like Assailohan's going to try and make a last valiant attempt here to try and push into his opponent's bases, spreading everything out, even bringing the Raven along for an auto turret. Drops that auto turret down near the siege tank, actually does save most of his siege tanks, at least initially, bringing in the Banshee as well, does get both of the Vikings to allow that Banshee free reign over the air, and now going to be going after Get Slammed. So right now Assailohan still keeping his team in this. Do have a Zergling counter maybe on the way here by Tali, but not going to be out there yet. We do see that Banshee chasing all of those Harvesters. Over in the main here, there is a handful of Harvesters for Get Slammed still. Right now, just trying to keep their Harvesters alive if they can. No auto turret available just yet for Assailohan's forces. Is getting cleaned up pretty decently by the Zerglings. Assailohan right now is just on the one tank and a Marine, and now it's just the Air Force basically of Assailohan that is still left over here, trying to deal with all the forces of Get Slammed and Tali.
Yeah, this is a classic case of 2v1 where the player by himself is actually in quite a good position, you know, having more SCVs than both the other opponents combined. So still quite in this game for both parties.
Yeah, right now at 30 Harvesters, we can see right now our Zerg player of Tali sitting at 17, Get Slammed down to 9. Assailohan reinforcing in once again, trying to take this all out. Get Slammed with the siege tank though, which is pretty huge, as it does help force back the forces as Tali brings some Lings forward. So despite the advantage and economy of Assailohan, the multitasking ability of two players always better than one player, and that is kind of paying dividends here for Get Slammed and Tali, as they are holding very resilient. And if they can hold this for just a little bit longer, I think they will definitely be in a much better position than Aseohan is.
Yeah. And looks like the tank does get away with 12 HP, so going back to home, kind of recouping his wounds and taking his natural base right now. So not in terrible position as Johan is. Let's see, getting one more rack, getting Tech Lab. Nothing too much to speak of right now. Get Slammed does have that second CC, but it doesn't really have enough SCVs to go back mining at a natural. It's not really worth it to lift off and go down there at this point. Just double meal at this point.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that's going to be playing out here is Punchlo finally has no more bases, as his base does finally bleed to death, is the fact that, I mean, in all reality here, I mean, Tali's going to be able to rebuild his economy so fast that that might really be the difference here.
Yeah. We basically have to see if Aseohan can hit some type of timing to take advantage of when Get Slammed to Tally decides to, maybe hit around the drones or, get a couple production buildings up without pumping units. And if that doesn't happen, he might start falling further and further behind. So basically he needs to take this two separate one base advantage right now before, Get Slammed really saturates his natural and Tally really saturates his.
I definitely agree with you there. The clock is definitely on Aseohan to make some kind of a push sometime soon. It's going to have to be a game-ending push at that, with his teammate Munchla dead. Had Munchla survived with even just a handful of harvesters, this probably would have been a very different game at this point. But was not quite able to do that. Now you can see the two heads better than one philosophy really paying off here for Get Slammed and his teammate Atalia, as they've been able to come back from the near brink of defeat. Just by surely having two people controlling things and really making it much easier to deal with a single player.
Yeah, I do hope that Sohan has shared control, and it looks like he has with the purple dotted outline around certain tanks and stuff. So they have shared control. So unit control at least is going to be with four hands, if you will. So. It doesn't help them there, as the Vikings take out both the Medevac and the Raven without any challenge at all.
We even have a couple of Zerglings Tali actually just hanging out in what's left of Munchla's base, which is now finally just about to be completely dead. Spawning pool and the single extractor left here. We do see Aseohan trying to basically expand back to his teammates' bases. I'm not sure which one of them is actually handling it kind at this point. I'm sure they're actually multitasking. Tali actually, though, morphing on a couple of Banelings. I don't think that Aseohan actually sees it. These Banelings got into Aseohan's mineral line. That could be absolutely huge, as Aseohan does have a vast majority of his SCVs down in this natural expansion right now. But no, it does manage to actually clean those Banelings up before they're able to do anything. The real problem here now is just how quickly Tali and Get Slammed have been able to re-econ back up. See right now, 45 harvesters for Aseohan, but now 41, moving up all the way to 46 now for Tali. So Tali actually taking the lead in harvesters, and his teammate at Get Slammed already back up to 37. Do have a drop on the way, but I'm not sure it's going to really be enough.
Yeah, I think Aseohan's kind of missed his timing window for doing crippling damage, and at this point, not really sure what he can do besides try to hit a couple different places at once and possibly getting a good amount of SCV kills, which he's doing a decent amount of damage in Get Slammed's main, getting a few SCVs.
I definitely agree with you there. I think it's just the biggest problem that he's going to have is trying to hold on here. We do have Mutalis now on the field for Tali as well, so he's going to be able to start harassing pretty soon here. You see him actually flying over one of Tali's bases, is Aseohan, but looks like he's going to actually try and bypass it and still go for the main. I have a feeling that Tali's going to see that, though, and probably clean up his medevac before he can even really drop any of the force sub, and that is exactly what's going to happen here. He moves to attack the medevac, can't even drop the Marines out of it, probably going to lose it with all 8 Marines in there. Does manage to drop 3 of the Marines down, but I'm not sure he even gets a kill on the single Zergling before everything gets cleaned up. And I think it's just a matter of time now before Aseohan's just going to get overrun. 108 supply for Get Slammed, 82 supply for Tali, and once both those guys top 100 supply, their supply cap is going to be over what Aseohan can actually even do by himself, even with the help of his teammate. And that's really where things are going to come, where that clock's going to basically expire once his maxed army can't even equal what their maxed army can.
Yeah, it looks like Get Slammed and Tally are gearing up for a push, possibly take advantage of the +1 air attack and the combat shield timing around the same time finishing. So we'll see if they can do any damage here. Drawing out the stem out of Seohan with only 1 medevac, that's a big deal. But pretty good siege positioning. Although the
now we have the big battle over here in the middle of the map, and it looks like Get Slammed is just absolutely obliterating Seon's forces. Here comes Mutas from the back, and now they're going to be moving in towards the natural, and I think this is finally going to probably be the killing blow here. I don't think Seohan's going to be able to come back from this one.
Yeah, seems like it.
See right now all the forces of Tali and Get Slammed is rallying to the front of a Seohan's base. I think it's just going to be a matter of time before Seohan's going to be forced to GG out. Now being forced to pull his SCVs, trying to defend just 2 people. Too much for Seohan to deal with, and there's the GG. And Get Slammed and Tali will take game number 1.